Welcome back to the Money Talks podcast, the podcast where we talk about money, fitness, and lifestyle and how to level up every aspect of your life. Today, we're talking about sinking funds. All right, today we're talking about sinking funds, and this concept was heavy on my mind, right? Because I obviously just got back from a trip. If you follow me on any of my socials, you'll see that I was in Japan. And so the reason why I was thinking about this is a lot of people are asking me about travel, itineraries, how much it costs to go, how long you can stay for what amount of money, and so on and so forth, right? And so what I thought about was how people are going to pay for doing things that are super fun and add value to their lives while at the same time not ruining their financial future. And so the concept of sinking funds came up in my mind, and we talked about it in a live. And so I wanted to make a video today and this podcast episode about what a sinking fund is and kind of how that works, right? So a lot of people kind of think about this concept when they're thinking about saving already. So it's not like a super foreign concept, but what a sinking fund is when you save intentionally for a specific purpose. That's pretty much all that it is. You create a separate savings account aside from your regular money system. You add a savings account and you name it. A lot of these new banking services actually allow you to name the bank account, which is what I do, and I think it's a really good way to see it visually. So you take that savings account and you start adding money into that savings account over the course of weeks, months, even years in some cases, and it's for a specific purpose. And so it separates everything that you're doing financially on a day-to-day basis from whatever goal you have outside of that. And this doesn't have to be a goal that's like something super important to your financial future. It could be something super fun, like a vacation, a nice watch you want to buy, a nice car. It could be anything. As long as you're allocating the right money towards that sinking fund, you really can't go wrong with it. And so I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean, right? Because sinking funds have multi purposes. It's not only for fun, but it's also for making emergency expenses manageable, and we'll get into that. But first, let's talk about saving for the fun stuff. Okay, like I mentioned, there's vacations, there's cars, there's watches, there's all these other hobbies that people have that they want to spend a bunch of money on. And what I see continuously, right? And I'll give you the example of watches, for instance. I'm a watch guy. I'm into watches, right? I've liked them for a long time, and I've seen people put money towards them, a lot of money towards them. And what I consistently see is when people are making major purchases, it's financially stressful to them. It's There's this feeling of guilt, especially afterwards, of spending a ton of money. And what that tells me when I see the guilt on their face, what that tells me when I see the stress is that they didn't prepare for that purchase prior to going into that buying situation. And so that's what I would love for people to start doing, is preparing for the purchase beforehand instead of taking out debt. Essentially, that's what most people do, and then worrying about how you're going to pay for it later. So when you're saving for the fun stuff, all you have to do is set the goal, determine the cost, and then work backwards, right? Save before you spend instead of buying and then worrying about it later. So most people, this is what most people do. They go in, they say, hey, my credit card limit is $2,000. So I have $2,000 to spend. They go buy a $2,000. I'll give you the example of one of my college roommates buys a $2,000 necklace. Did not have $2,000 to his name, so he has to now pay back payments for that $2,000 necklace. He's also paying interest on those payments, right? Or on that total debt. So now he's paying, over the course of that loan, he's paying like double what the initial cost of that necklace was. So now that necklace, instead of costing $2,000, it actually cost him more like $5,000. That's insane, right? You're not getting value out of that. What I like to see is, instead of going, I can spend $2,000 today and then pay it back at $200 a month for the next however many months. It's not going to be 10. It's going to be much more than that. Instead of doing that, the 10 months prior to your purchase, save $200 every month and allocate that specifically towards a sinking fund that says $2,000 necklace on it, whatever that is. I don't know what kind of necklace is $2,000. I have no idea about jewelry really, but if it's a necklace you want, then you can have that necklace. Just save for it in advance. And a lot of people think this way, but they don't separate their savings accounts. They have one savings account, and that one savings account they're putting money into, but that has to deal with any emergency that pops up. That has to do with any random expenses that pop up that they feel like they need to pay for with their savings account money. So without allocating it to a specific bank account, even naming it, going as far as naming it, you're kind of saving for no reason. And the thing I always think about is Parkinson's rule. If you have money, you want to spend it, unless you can get with the psychology that that money is for a specific purpose. It's for a specific purpose. And that allows you to have some level of discipline when it comes to spending. So before I get off track, spending money isn't the enemy, right? So we don't have to feel guilty about it. We don't have to feel stressed about making big purchases. What we have to do is create a system that allows us to allocate certain bits of money to fun things that we want to spend on, things that are going to bring value to your life, things that you're going to enjoy, but you're enjoying it guilt-free because you put the time in on the front end, right? You didn't have to worry about it on the back end. So, sinking funds. Not only are they good for fun purchases, but one thing I always hear is, I had to spend $10,000 on a new car because my transmission went out. I had to pay whatever amount of money for whatever emergency came up. There's all kinds of them, right? You could probably think of 10 emergencies off the top of your head that you had to pay for this year. Number one, an emergency isn't actually an emergency if you have the foresight of that thing happening. I'm going to say that again. An emergency isn't actually an emergency if you had the foresight beforehand of that thing happening. So if you know that thing's going to happen, it stops becoming an emergency. An emergency is something you can't foresee. And an emergency is something that pops up out of nowhere. There's no indication it's going to happen. You knew your transmission of your Kia was going to go out. You already knew that. You were riding on damn near hubcaps. Of course your tire was going to pop. You knew that already, right? There's all kinds of expenses. Taxes come up every year. All these things that people classify as emergencies, we know they're going to happen. It's not an emergency, right? So stop thinking about all these things that are going to happen and you know they're going to happen as emergencies. Think of them as expenses that you have to plan for in advance. And this is my point with the sinking fund. It doesn't always have to be for fun expenses. Sometimes it's for things that you just need. Like you need a new car. If your car's gonna die, you're gonna need a new car, right? We can't just take the bus system everywhere. It's not gonna work out. Our trains aren't that good, right? So at least here in America. So you're gonna need a new car. You know in advance you need a new car. So we take money every single month out of our money system and we say this much is going to be allocated towards our savings account and it's specifically for a car. This gives you options, right? If you have the cash up front, it gives you options. It gives you options that ultimately can keep you out of debt. And that's the big thing, people. Everybody goes into debt, right? Because these expenses came up even though they knew they were coming up. They just spent the money on something else. And so they go into debt. And it's like, dude, so many people are trying to get out of debt, climb out of debt. You can prevent it altogether if you firstly allocate money towards those savings accounts, towards those sinking funds for specific purposes. It makes everything simple. And it also saves you a ton of interest on the back end. Don't pay institutions for no reason. There's literally zero reason to pay a ton of interest. There's literally zero reason. Just don't take out debt. Save for it in advance. All right, I beat that to death. So save and invest first. This is the last point I want to make. Saving and investing for your future is the biggest thing, right? But what I always talk about is a system that allows you to put percentages towards every really important aspect of your finances. So you have your needs, of course. You have everything you absolutely have to pay for. Then you have your saving and investing, right? You're going to need to save towards an emergency fund. You're going to need to invest for your financial future. You can't just leave your future self hanging. You got to save and invest. You got to do it, man, or else you're going to be shit out of luck towards the end of your career. That last category is your wants category, right? A percentage of your paycheck goes to all three of those. And I'll go as far as to say, as all three of them are equally as important. You obviously need your category, your needs category, in order to live. Your saving and investing category, your future self, needs you. But your wants category is like where you live life out of. That's like not only where you live, where you find enjoyment. You should find fulfillment in your career, of course, and what you're doing should matter to you, but that's your chance to allocate it towards hobbies that you really enjoy or things that you really have fun with or experiences that you can have with your friends, your family, or just by yourself. Like those things are just as important. So I just want you to be responsible when you're paying for these things. You don't have to go into debt to go on a trip to Europe. You don't have to go into debt to buy a sick car. You don't have to go into debt to go have fun with your friends or pay for your hobbies, even if it's a consistent charge, even if it's a consistent payment that you're making. That's totally fine if you allocate it properly. If you put that money towards a specific purpose, create that sinking fund, then you have a savings account and it gives you those options. So My closing thought is this: your main goal, I won't say your main goal, my main goal isn't to die with the most amount of money accumulated as possible. That's not my goal. You might think otherwise because you see my content, but that's not my main goal. My main goal isn't to accumulate as much money as possible. Money is a tool. Money is a tool that you use for your life, for your lifestyle, for your future, to help others. It's got a ton of different uses, right? But it's just a tool. So we had to find a way to, while accumulating enough to where we have a solid financial foundation, and also a very bright financial future, we also can enjoy the life that we have in the moment and create a life along the way that we're proud of and that we genuinely enjoy. That's what I want for you all. That's what I want for myself too. Hey, we're the same. I think. I think that's what most people would want. But hey, if you have a different definition of financial freedom, then I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it in the comments. What would make you feel financially free? What is your best life? How do you live your best life? I want to hear that from you guys in the comments. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. That's on sinking funds, okay? Go out and make you a sinking fund, or two or three or five, or however many you need today. All right? And don't go into debt for trips or other dumb stuff. Don't do it. There's no reason. Just save in advance. Be smart with your money and be responsible with it. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. I will catch you in the next one. I'm out.